Gross! What were they thinking? Ugh! Why would anybody paint such a beautiful piece? Hi, I'm Margie with The Asking Spot, your host with Krystal and the Krafty Creech in the Spring Renew. And why would I paint it? Yes, this is mine to renew. That's the whole challenge. It's because at the time, this was right before I started a YouTube channel, I didn't know what had caused its original finish to look so splotchy and bubbly and horrible. But now, because of personal experience,
Operator error.
I know what caused that, or at least I think I do. So I think I can get this thing looking much nicer. Let's see. Now there are plenty of furniture flippers that would probably go as far as to take this part out and take it kind of all apart, but those are professional furniture flippers. I'm not that. I haven't enough confidence in my ability to take it apart well enough that I wouldn't break it and then to actually rebuild it. So yeah, this is gonna be a bit awkward, but I'm gonna get through this.
Ew!
Whoa.
According to the instructions, I'm going to spread this on and leave it to sit anywhere from an hour to 24 hours. But the goal is to have it not dry out. So I'm using grocery bags that I've cut up to flatten out.
Frugal.
They actually recommend a different type of paper that they sell separately. I didn't buy it, so that could be a problem.
Now to do the rest of them. Okay, sweetie. Time to go. We gotta let this sit for at least 3 hours. Yeah, it's been 3 hours. Wow. Now, one of my favorite things about Smart Strip is it has little or no odor. Now, this Smart Strip gel is lemon scented, which was perfectly nice and fine. My only concern is if you had, any form of small toddler-ish around, be careful because really it looks lemony, it smells lemony, Used a nylon kitchen sponge to scrub on this and had to rinse it frequently. Then when it came time to rinse, I was still, kind of getting a couple pieces off, but I'm being very conscientious because when the wood is this wet, it can be scratched and damaged a lot easier. I also then made sure that I dried it real well and put it out in the sun. Okay, so that was 7 hours of work, and I'm not even putting in the time that it sat with the stripper on it. I'm talking about trying to get what the stripper was trying to take off. Here's the thing though, I learned, put some water on it, get your sponge, and just start scrubbing it like you would dishes or something like that. That goes infinitely faster and you don't waste as much because you end up when you scrape it and it's not completely coming off, you're kind of just scraping it back into the wood grain and it just wastes a lot of time and oh yeah, your hands really hurt the next day.
There's more.
Hey, but this looks good, so yeah, I can fix this.
Had a few places at the bottom there, and then in one of the doors there was some holes in it. So I went ahead and got some wood filler, let it dry, and then began sanding the bulk of the piece. Now I did try to get all the detailed work done first because I was kind of going with how exhausted can I make myself, and if I get to the end and I'm not doing the detailed parts very well, they're going to get ruined. So at least it made sense in my mind.
So this is the part that I am dreading the most, but I'm also the most excited about because dread it's massive. Its weight is funky, so I don't want to actually turn it on its side to sand it. So I'm going to try and sand as much as possible while it's upright and then flip it on its back to do the legs. I am excited though because once I get this part done, then it's on to the fun stuff, the rebuilding, making it cool again, hopefully. 80 grit. 150.
Finally.
All right, this is the part where I'm maybe doing the stupidest thing ever. My husband's not here, but I'm still gonna try to move that onto that so I can finally get the legs done. I'm gonna cut out a base with this nice little plywood I have here. The plan is to use this pattern I made just because, I've tried measuring things out and far too often it turns out that things aren't exactly square. So I figure with making an exact pattern of it using paper, I should get this just right.
I find applying stain with a lint-free cloth is just more manageable than a brush. I like to go in every direction, kind of rub it all on, and that way I can get it into all the grain, but I always finish by going with the grain. Now, this stain color choice, I actually put it up on my social media platforms and asked people what they thought I should go with, and it won. It's red mahogany, but here's the thing. It wasn't a brand new can. And well, I did the whole piece except for maybe a hand's worth that did not get covered. So I ended up using the second favorite choice, the cherry colored stain. And I had to go through the whole place just because this small patch on the side didn't have enough stain. Yeah, maybe if I didn't stain the inside of the drawers, I would have been fine.
You think?
In the end, I think the addition of the cherry stain actually made it closer to what it might have looked originally. But I could still kick myself as far as running out of the stain, because I ended up staining those little pieces I added to the base. And then I thought, wait a minute, I'm going to add some color to the inside of this, doing one of my favorite techniques. It's using Mod Podge to adhere fabric to the wood. And honestly, this, if more people did this rather than painting, because this is not that hard to get off. A little steam, and you can get this off. And then, yeah, it's just a bit of sanding to get any leftover glue behind off. It's a lot easier than getting rid of paint. Just putting that out there. Once it's dry, it's pretty easy to cut it off. The important thing though is to remember to put in a very new sharp blade. Yikes, I cut a little wood there.
very sharp blade. I do also, though, heads up, I have a cutting board underneath here, so I'm not going to be cutting straight into my table. But then it just kind of rips off, and then it's minor sanding. You could, for the loose threads, if you wanted to use lighter, and that can burn off those loose threads too. I want to thank Krystal with the Krafty Creech for helping me to co-host this Renew challenge for spring. And I also want to thank all my fellow YouTubers who participated with it. I've got a link in the description and at the end so you can get the whole playlist and see what else they've been doing. Hopefully you'll find it inspiring. And speaking of inspiring, let's take a look back at where we started. If you could, give a thumbs up and click subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. It helps out the channel. And now, here's the final results. I'm not going to say this was easy to do, but it wasn't impossible. And I hope you find a little bit of inspiration so that if you try something and maybe you don't like it, or maybe you just have grown tired of it, that you give it another shot before you toss it out. Thanks so much for watching The Asking Spot. I know you have it right when this thing goes back up, and that was my mistake. So let's go.